All right, welcome. And this time around, we'll be talking about Forexes. Yes, I have a Forex expert with me. It is Ose Obimon. His face you've seen a couple of times, so you recognize him. Welcome, Ose, to the show.
Thank you for having me around.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Forex sales resumption. The CBN is preparing to start dollar allocations to Forex to Bureau de Change operators. But an APCON report says that speculators will lose billions in the next few months once Forex sales resumes. Who are speculators?
Okay. The word speculator actually means people who have interest in the foreign exchange market in the bid of doing business that involve buying currency when it's cheap and selling when the price has gone up. So anybody can be a speculator. We have retail traders, we have individuals, even the Bureau de Change, all of them, they are all key players in the industry. So the main aim for a speculator is just going there to buy when the currency is cheap and sell when price has gone up. So it's just the knowledge of having knowledge of financial market and looking out for, because it's not about just looking at the currency, buying and selling without putting in some measures which we could either refer to as the technical measures or the fundamental measures. Now, let's look at the fundamental measures. Now, the fundamental measures, let's take the case of the pandemic, the COVID-19. Okay. These are one of those factors because a lot of countries' economy are shut down during this period. And as a speculator, you know that these things have negative effect on the currency. So anybody that has a background knowledge on the fundamental or the technical aspect of the market can actually be a speculator and taking those informations, using them for their own advantage to maximize profit.
Now, why do you think APCON, the Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria, is saying that speculators will lose billions once the market commences Forex sales?
Okay, yeah, these are speculations, but I would say that there is a little degree of truth in it because the rates at which dollar was exchanging while they were shut down, I mean the Bureau de Change were not doing business, was actually based on demand and supply. Okay. And as at that time, there was scarcity of dollars, and you know in economics that when there is excess demand and less supply, price will automatically jump up. So the exchange rate that was actually going on as at that time was due to market pressure. Okay. It was not a true reflection of the economy itself. So it was all about the demand. There was high demand, people needed it. So a lot of persons were actually interested in buying dollar because they feel that the dollar price has, you know, gone up. And those people that have to sell, they are selling at a high price. So the system runs like that. But it's not a true picture of what the economy is actually saying, because as at the last time I checked, dollar were exchanging at 450, 460, and 430. But these are not, that's what CBN is saying, that the current exchange rate is not the true reflection of what the economy is talking about. These figures are actually as a result of the business going on between the prior market, the speculators, and people that, you know, Nigerians now always love to buy things, keep and sell. So before you can be able, that's why they are saying that a lot of investors were going to lose money, because many persons were actually doing this kind of business without having the knowledge of what it entails for currency to go up or to come down. Because before the pandemic, there was an exchange rate which was pegged at 375, 365. Now, these guys that were actually doing the business, which is the Bureau de Change, they were off business as at that period. So influx of dollar was scarce. So as at that time, the only few persons that had to sell were skyrocketing the price, going as high as 450. And coupled with the fall in oil price. So many of this information actually kind of contributed to the fact that made dollar to rise against the naira. So it's normal, because if the sales of dollar resumes now, definitely,
and certain sectors open up,
definitely there'll be a gap. Now the gap we are seeing now is between 375 and 450. For that 450 now, the price of oil has gone up. You know that the Nigerian economy is actually into oil. The price of oil has gone up. So that's people that
closes the margin as the naira is gaining strength.
As the naira is gaining strength. So people that actually bought at 4, okay, imagine now they start selling dollar out. I mean the Bureau de Change, and they've probably they've resumed, and price jumped to like 380. Imagine somebody buying at 450. That's a massive loss. So that's what CBN is actually trying to guide against and trying to advise speculators not to use the information of this shortage of dollars to actually, how will I put it? Okay, this shortage of dollars to interpret the Nigeria economy itself.
Okay.
That these are just measures.
Okay, it's not a reliable factor.
It's not a reliable factor at all. These are just measures that has to do with law of demand and supply.
Okay.
But as soon as resumption of dollar starts, definitely price will definitely come below the 450 exchange rate that we are currently having.
Now, what with the resumption of dollar allocation to the parallel market, what effect will it have on the markets?
Yes, first, there will be that demand and supply gap will be taken care of.
Okay.
People will have access to dollars, and especially people that are using it for BTA and PTA and the rest, they will have access to dollar. Of course, it will also have effect on the Naira because the pressure will be off. Because right now there's a lot of pressure. There is demand. People need this dollar to do transaction. Even during the pandemic, financial institutions were still ongoing. A lot of activities were still ongoing. People needed this dollar to do their business as usual. And right now, the moment they resume, of course, the pressure will be off, and the Bureau de Change will resume sales. At the end of the day, it will tell well for the economy, and the Naira will be able to gain value, not the current exchange rate that we're currently having at 450. Okay.
Now, does the Bureau de Change have any role to play in Naira depreciation or Naira recovery?
Yes, a lot. A lot. Because
what's the role in stabilizing the Naira?
The role is, one, accessibility.
Okay, because you can find Bureau de Change operators anywhere.
Anywhere, yes. Once you know you can find them anywhere and they have access to dollars, it reduces that stress of obtaining dollars.
Okay.
Are you getting it now? So at the end of the day, it makes ease of doing business very calm and simple. So that idea of having to go through the rigorous activity of acquiring dollar will be off the limit. So at the end of the day, it helps to kind of stabilize the Naira, because when people know that they can easily get Naira once they have need for it, it will remove the pressure, because it is pressure that actually push, you know, the price up to around 450. So when you know that you can easily have access to it, you can have access to the dollars, then at least to a large extent, and with the help of the oil price, definitely the Naira will stabilize at 375 or 365, as the case may be, depends on what's the outcome, because we'll first of all need to wait for the resumption to start, and let's see the rate at which CBN wants to peg it, and then business can return as usual.
Okay. Now, as we wrap up on this discussion, what do you think of these situations that has remained where there is still a wide margin between the CBN rates, the official bank rates, and the parallel rates?
The question again, please.
What do you make of the situation that has persisted where there's still a wide margin between the official bank rates and the parallel rates?
I would say it's because of the economy has been idle, and we know that the pandemic has not really helped, because a lot of nations shut down the economy. So this kind of, that's why at the beginning of the discussion I said that in currency speculation, there are factors that affect it. Okay, and I talked about the fundamental factors. Then we looked at the implication of the COVID-19. A lot of business were shut down, and economy were not booming as usual. So it's a natural phenomenon that as soon as businesses are beginning to open up, people are doing business. Like for example, the sales of dollar has resumed. It will help to boost the Naira itself, and that gap, that margin, will be closed. Because before now, we never had that kind of exchange rate at 450. And at that 450, if you look at the currency, which is the Naira itself, you see that it's currently at the overbought region. Now, that's where they talked about knowledge as a speculator. Because when you're buying at an already high price.
Okay, so you would sell.
Definitely.
At a higher price.
At a higher price. But if that gap comes down, to probably we're looking at an oversold region, there's a gap. So that gap is what CBN is trying to guide speculators from. Okay. That you have to know that this is not the real rate. This is just a gap, courtesy of the pandemic. Okay. So at the end of the whole thing, and business starts as usual, the price will definitely come back. They are just trying to protect speculators. So to be a speculator, it's good you have good knowledge of how the financial market works so that you don't get your finger burned.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one more question. CBN is actually releasing Forex to certain sectors, tuition, BTA, and some other sectors, but not to all who would need Forex. Do you think if they open up and perhaps make Forex readily available for business people especially, and maybe anyone who would need Forex, provided it's within a legitimate course, that it would further reduce the pressure and need for people to go over to the parallel market and just get Forex at any rate?
Yes, it will. It will, because it's all about, there's nothing as good as you have need for something and there is an accessibility to it.
Okay.
So if the CBN resumes sales of Forex to Bureau de Change, of course it will help. It will help a great deal.
And then to other sectors,
yes,
not restricted sectors.
Yes, it will help a great deal. Because it's all about securing the dollar.
All right.
And once that access is there, it automatically brings down the price.
Okay.
So
and
that's
the pressure
the pressure on Naira will be taken off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very
for
much.
coming. He's a Forex expert
Thank
and is giving us a lot of education on Forex sales. And that's it on this segment. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we would look at insurance. What better time to talk about insurance than now, when we just had a case of market fire disaster. We'll be back.